PowerFX is the low-code programming language that's used when building Canvas Power Apps. In this video, we're going to discuss how it's used, the importance of PowerFX functions, and how they're used within a PowerFX statement. We'll also discuss how dot notation applies to the PowerFX programming language, why data types matter within your PowerFX statements, and also why your browser language settings matter when constructing your PowerFX statements. PowerFX is described as a low-code programming language, but what do we mean by that? Well, firstly, it's relatively easy to read the language when it's written, and when you use the language, you get the results back immediately. So if the text or color of a label isn't quite right, you'll know straight away. The key contexts in which you'll find PowerFX being used are that of Canvas apps, in order to describe your screens, your objects, and your user experience, in custom pages within model-driven apps for the very same reason, and also in Dataverse columns, where the values are determined by using PowerFX functions. PowerFX has a very close relationship with Excel. They share a common syntax, and some formulas are written in exactly the same way. Let's consider the text function left hello world 5. That results in the word hello. In Excel, we'd express that as equals left A1 5. And in PowerFX, we'd use left LBL.value 5. So if you do have familiarity with writing Excel formulas, then PowerFX will not be a big leap for you. In the same way as Excel has functions, PowerFX also has functions, and there are over 170 of them, and we can see them described in Microsoft Learn. If you'd like to find out more, you can go to learn.microsoft.com and search for PowerFX function library. And this is an example of how the left function will be described here. But as you can see, there are many other functions, and you may wish to explore these in the future. But what do functions do? Well, we can use them to define the screen and control properties, such as height, width, font, and even text. And we call this type of behavior declarative programming. With imperative programming, we can use PowerFX to execute commands on our behalf, such as submitting a form, refreshing a dataset, or navigating to another screen. Let's take a look at the anatomy of a basic PowerFX statement. Firstly, we're using the notify function. It takes two parameters, or arguments. The first is the text that we want to show on the screen when the notify function is called. And the second argument is the type of notification that we want to appear on the screen. In this case, it's a success, but there are others to choose from. Browser language that you use has an impact on this syntax used in PowerFX. It has an impact on argument separators and statement separators. And broadly speaking, if you use a comma to delimit your thousands, you'll use the standard syntax. And if you use a period to delimit your thousands, then you'll use the alternate syntax. And the impact of this is that your argument separators in the standard syntax are a comma, and the statement separators are a semicolon, whereas in the alternate syntax, the argument separators are semicolon, and statement separators are double semicolons. And you'll see this as we go through the course. The arguments or parameters for the functions that you use will require specific data types, and the outputs are generally a specific data type. For example, the filter function requires as an argument a table, and that may come from a data source you are connected to, and the output of a filter function is also a table. Whereas the input to a count rows function is a table, it always produces a number. And very often when we have formulas that don't work, is because we got the data types wrong. As we go through the module, we'll see that the dot notation is a key feature of working with Powe FX, and it's not something you'll generally see in Excel. If we look on the screen, we're defining the width of the text head-alone checkout text box, and we've defined this as being the width of the checkout screen by selecting checkout screen.width. Inside objects, we can also reach inside data structures, and this could be tables or variables within our application. PowerFX is in essence a simple language, but sometimes the formulas can become complex. The things that can influence the complexity of the formulas that we create are the nature of the user interface that we're trying to create, the user experience that we're building for our customers. Very often it is the level of filtering and sorting of data that's required, and very often the data source that we're connecting to can have an impact on the complexity of the formulas that we create. Broadly speaking, we'll be creating relatively simple formulas in this module, but the platform does allow for considerable complexity. Thank you for watching this video on the basics of working with Powe FX formulas. And in future videos, we'll be putting some of these principles into practice.